Good evening.
Let me just adjust my camera. Joking. All right. Yep.
Okay. Welcome to Thursday Night Live here on the Weather Fans Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Indeed.
Tonight we're looking at Storm Otto, which was named by the Danish Met, and the latest developments on the SSSW.
Yes.
Apologies tonight. I'm absolutely knackered.
That's fine, mate. Don't worry about it. Yeah, we'll go straight into it anyway.
Yeah.
I've got the latest. Do you want to lead or do you want to take
go
one
ahead.
Other? I'll do the majority of it tonight, mate, because you look absolutely jaded. So, I will lead and do the best I can. That's all you can do. Right. So here we are with the weather warnings.
You're on full screen.
Brilliant. Thank you, mate. Right. So as of today, which is the 16th, we don't have any warnings, but we do for tomorrow. Now, this is where a few of you might get a bit giddy because there is Storm Otto, which I'm going to show you in a minute on the UKV and also on, I think I'll show you on the ECM if I can as well. But yeah, anyway, let's go to the Scottish wind warning, which covers the whole of Scotland pretty much. And as you can see there on the left, it says from 3 o'clock tomorrow morning through to 1500, which is 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. A spell of very strong winds across Scotland associated with Storm Otto may bring some disruption during Friday. Obviously, what to expect: injuries, danger to life, some damage to buildings, rail. So yeah, bridges may be either closed or restricted. There could be problems with ferries, planes, even high-sided motors. I would say mostly on the north-south routes, but I wouldn't rule out any road in Scotland that's exposed to the wind that will be immune. A9, A8, the M8, and pretty much all the motorways, yeah. So anyway, I'll continue further down. So the further details. This probably covers the wind warning, which you see down here as well. You must excuse me, I am full of cold. So it says the likelihood and peak wind gusts increase. Start time also brought forward and extended to include parts of Shetland. So yeah, it's just covering the southern part of Shetland there. It says a spell of strong winds is expected to affect Scotland during Friday morning, easing from the west during the afternoon. Gusts of 60 to 70 mile an hour are likely, and possibly as high as 80 mile an hour for exposed coasts and hills, particularly for the far north and northeast of Scotland and Orkney. And as you can see there on the matrix, it's low, medium impact and low likelihood, but we'll see. We'll see tomorrow. And there are all the regions and local authorities that will be affected. By all means, if you're watching this back, it might be a bit out of date, but they're all the ones affected. So we have this one here, which runs from pretty much Berwick and down towards Newcastle, or Berwick's up here. So it's pretty much southern Scotland on the coast, down through Northumbria, into Tyne and Wear and Teesside, and just about North Yorkshire. And then it cuts down pretty much in a line down the A19 to Hull, M62, M18, then cuts across to pretty much the spine of the Pennines, so the very tops. So yeah, so any of the routes, say the Woodhead Pass, the M62, the M65 could be affected, and I think it's the A606A which goes across to Skipton. The A65 could be affected. These ones I'm just coming off straight off the top of my head. Anyways, so and the A66 as well. Yeah, so as it says here, area extended into South Yorkshire, likelihood increased, and validity adjusted. That was the reason for the update today. A spell of very strong winds is expected during Friday morning, easing from the west during the afternoon. Winds will be strongest over and immediately to the east of high ground, with gusts of 55 to 65 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 75 miles an hour are possible, particularly for some of the more exposed Trans-Pennine routes. The ones like I explained, like the Woodhead Pass, Snake Pass, the M62, the A65, they're ones I could just think off the top of my head. But yeah, so to the east of high ground would be some places like Barnsley, Sheffield, Halifax, Huddersfield, Bradford, Leeds, going up towards Harrogate, Otley, places like that. I mean, yeah, the Wharfe Valley could get a good battering as well as the wind comes and gets funneled into the valley. So that again, medium likelihood, medium impact, low likelihood. Oh, do excuse me, like I say, I'm full of cold today, so I think everyone else is. So let's
Don't
go.
worry about it.
I'm not. While we're here anyway, I'll go and show the latest from the UKV regarding wind. So let me just wind gusts. There we go. So share this tab. Right. So these are the most up-to-date ones as you can see there, 1500, which is 3 o'clock this afternoon on the 16th of Feb. And as you can see there to the left, Storm Otto is approaching thick and fast. See there, 65, quite widely in the sea. It's at midnight, so I'm just going to swing round. To the west of Scotland, 55, nearly 60 mile an hour. Across the high ground, knocking on 40 mile an hour, 50 over towards Newcastle and Alnwick, them areas. So we'll come into the peak of this. So as you can see there across Scotland, we have 4 o'clock. We got 76 here, 77, 56, 67. So across the very highest ground of Scotland, it's at 4 o'clock in the morning. It will be very windy. We've got a 65 here around Kirby Lonsdale, probably, and Ripon, 56, 57. So, yeah, the M62, because the winds will be coming in from the northwest, so it's quite likely that the M62 could get a battering. So this is at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. So we'll go, yeah. So let's go back to 6 o'clock. So this is when some people are leaving for work. We've got 80 mile an hour across northern Scotland, around Inverness and Aberdeen. Could get even a 95 mile an hour, they reckon, there, out at sea, as Otto passes. This is the back of Otto. So I think this is the cold front that's associated with the storm. And as you can see there across northern England as well, 64 mile an hour, 62, 59, somewhere like Harrogate could get 60 mile an hour, 55 mile an hour down towards Leeds, 58, quite possible near Halifax. One of the higher villages like Todmorden or Ripondon, for instance, Hebden Bridge could get 58 mile an hour. Coming down into South Yorkshire, 46, 34, 49, somewhere near Buxton maybe. And we'll move on. And as you can see there, they actually increase across the east-west routes, so across the Yorkshire and Lancashire Pennines. We do have 76 being indicated here. Somewhere, I'd say again, Kirby Lonsdale skipped on the A65 towards Skipton. Could get 76, 68, 61, 71 there, maybe in towards Harrogate. 62, say, towards Leeds. Maybe even a 65 towards Barnsley. Or Wakefield, somewhere like that. So it's going to be quite blowy in the morning. So I think some of the schools are actually away, so it won't be as busy. But still, for all those truck drivers and car drivers that are going to be on the M1 tomorrow, watch out. And on the M62 as well, sorry. So we'll continue on. As you can see there, the high winds continue well into the morning. There's a possibility I might go out tomorrow if the wind's still blowing in the morning. I may go to one of my high spots and get the anemometer out and go live, but we will see. But that's lasting into dinner time. We've got 62, around about 60 to 65 mile an hour indicated at dinner time tomorrow. And then it just dies off then. Dies away quite easy as the next low, which is a more slacker low, approaches in from the south. As you can see there, that could give 55, 60 mile an hour winds across high ground. So I'll go back to the beginning and we'll see where the rain and stuff like that's going to be tomorrow. And then, as you can see there, Storm Otto approaching there up in the north of Scotland. It's at midnight. Plenty of wind and rain across the Highlands of Scotland. Coming into the borders, a little bit of rain across the highest ground of Yorkshire and Lancashire, and also coming in across Ireland as well of the Republic, and also the North Island. Continue on, and that's cold as that cold front moves south. The strongest of the winds is actually behind that cold front. You've got winds coming in from this direction, from the southwest, and also from the northwest as well. Let's see if I can show them. No, unfortunately not on this one anyway. So anyway, continue on. So that cold front moves south during the morning, clearing up behind it. Some snow over the Scottish mountains. And as this front moves through, so does the strongest of the winds as well. As you saw in the previous charts, the winds die down after dinner time. So as you can see there, for tomorrow, more rain, which is needed.
So we've got snow on the high ground there.
Yes, well into Scotland and some parts of England as well in the very high routes. I'd say around about over 400 metres, maybe 500 metres. There'll be snowing. And then that moves south. I believe that is a warm front. I'm sure Michael will show us in a bit when we go to the GFS what they are.
We've had a comment, a Facebook user. What about Northumberland, by the way? Good evening.
Northumberland is going to get quite blowy tomorrow. I'll quickly go back to the wind chart. I'll go over it again, and then I'm going to move on. So, because it is quite important. So, I mean, there's Northumberland for Saturday. There could be some rain there. Let's have a look at the winds. Wind gusts. It won't be so windy on Saturday. I believe there's a low pressure just meandering across with northerly winds behind it, but obviously southwesterlies coming in on the southern edge of it. So yeah, I'll quickly go back to Storm Otto, and we will look at, so highest of the winds will be coming in after midnight, roughly. I mean, don't take that as gospel, but around Northumberland, 40 mile an hour about midnight. And then, as you can see there, I don't know if, here we go, so midnight. Let's see if I can zoom it up. There we go. Is that zoomed in, Michael?
Yes, it's zooming in.
Oh, brilliant. So we'll quickly go here. So this is at midnight tonight. So as you can see there, coming into Scotland, 60 mile an hour, 40 to 50 mile an hour across the higher ground of Northern England, Northumberland, maybe 35 mile an hour along the east coast. Wouldn't rule out 40 to 50 across Lancashire and Cumbria either. So this is 12 hours. So this will be at, sorry guys, just having a moment. So it's at 3 o'clock tomorrow morning. Scotland there, 65 mile an hour in the Highlands, and in the in the Outer Hebrides, you're looking at 60 to 70 there, and 80 out at sea. Not too bad across Aberdeenshire, maybe just coming in around about 30 to 40. Let's come down here. There's a 70 being indicated just here, like I say, around Kirby Lonsdale, some parts of North Yorkshire, 70 mile an hour. But Northumberland, you're looking 50 to 60 mile an hour around about 3 o'clock. Let's go forward another 3 hours to 6 o'clock if it behave itself. And as you can see there, 6 o'clock across Scotland, 80 mile an hour. There's an 84 just around here. I'd say that's Thurso. Don't quote me on that. Going down towards Inverness, 65 mile an hour. Then going across over towards Aberdeen, 65. But out in the sea there, you're looking 95 being indicated. Give or take 5 mile an hour each way. It could be a wind gust of 100 mile an hour being indicated. So I would look on somewhere like Net Weather or keep up to date on the Met Office if you are in Northern Scotland, and keep obviously up to date on your local radio stations as well. If you're in Scotland, same for Northern England as well. Keep up to date with your local BBC and the commercial radio stations as well. The local ones, they'll give you more up to date on what roads are closed and where there's been accidents and stuff like that. But like I said, the prone route's going to be the A1, the M62, the M1, just at north of Leeds, possibly. Yeah, and some of the A roads like the A65 and the A66, possibly the A59, something like that. Most of the A roads, anyway. I could list them off for days, but let's see. Let's go to. So I think it's at 9 o'clock tomorrow. Yeah. So the worst of the winds have moved away from Scotland. There's 105 mile an hour there indicated out in the North Sea.
We can see why now the Danish have actually named it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it develops through Denmark and the Netherlands and southern parts of Norway as well as it approaches. You can see there 105 mile an hour, but across northern England at 9 o'clock, we're looking 75, possibly 80 mile an hour winds, some little pockets of purple there, so they would be knocking on the door of 80 mile an hour over the M62. So
Definitely not more to be walking across the Pennines.
Definitely not, or driving.
Yeah.
I'd hate to be on that exposed bit between 23 and 22, and as you're going down the hill into Greater Manchester, because it's going to be really, really, really windy tomorrow. Like I say, just to the east of high ground as well, so like the M1, as the wind comes over the top and down into towards Barnsley or Sheffield, they're only down here, so they could be knocking on the door of 70 mile an hour as well. So we're like Wakefield, Home Firth, for example, that's just to the east, but it's sheltered. So yeah, so at Wakefield, Leeds, Bradford, Huddersfield, Halifax, Harrogate, Ripon. These are just towns that I can just think off the top of my head that are just to the east of high ground. So yeah, these are going to be getting it tomorrow, and this is at 10, 11, 12 o'clock. Yeah, 12 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Still indicating 60 across some parts of Scotland. It's a 59 there, 62. So still could be knocking on the door of 60 mile an hour, maybe 65 mile an hour at dinner time tomorrow. But that'd be on the very tops of the thing, as you can see, just to the east. It'll be easing off. So it could even be that Lancashire could see a 50 mile an hour. As it hits the high ground, it could start wheeling back, and causing some wind to come back over. We'll see though. We'll see. Tomorrow's going to be an interesting day for any storm chasers out there that like these kinds of storms anyway, rather than thunderstorms or anything like that. But it's going to be a blowy day. That's for definite. Should ease off in the afternoon. So I hope that's covered that. We will go. Should we have a look at the strat, or do you want to continue on with the?
We'll do the forecast, and I've got the strat towards the end. Might as well keep the flow going.
Right, I'll pass it back to you then, mate.
Yep, I'll put on the. Let's get my words out. Let's have a look at the latest from the Met facts charts.
Yep.
We'll see this developing low pressure.
Yep. Here we go.
So this is the facts charts from the Met Office as of 6 p.m. tonight on Thursday, 16th of February. And it's this feature here to the northwest of Scotland, which will then come across and deepen as it heads towards Denmark. Again, hence why it's been named from the Danish Met. Bring that forward 24 hours. And there's that storm there, and there's very tightly packed isobars. And towards Denmark, we'll have a cold front sinking south across the country. That probably gives a spell of possible, maybe some light rain. We'll have a look in just a moment as it goes into that high pressure to the south. As we head into midnight into Saturday, we've got an area of low pressure coming through with a triple point just to the northwest of Scotland, under a warm sector across England and Wales. Heading into Saturday lunchtime, and we've got the cold front just to our south, and we've got a trailing weather front across northern areas. Going to be quite blustery coming in from the west. As we head into midnight into Sunday, that low pressure will start to move off into the North Sea with a trailing weather front, so it could give some spells, maybe some showers. We'll have a look again at the rainfall precipitation in just a moment. Lunchtime on Sunday, we've got another warm front coming in from the southwest, from the Atlantic, with a low pressure heading towards south of Iceland. Got high pressure just sitting to our south. I don't know why this messes around about this time. The area of low pressure turns into a 963 storm over Iceland. We're under a ridge of high pressure towards the south, so it will mainly be dry, with light winds, risk of fog or frost. And as we head into lunchtime on Monday, we've got high pressure affecting southern areas and another warm front approaching Scotland, Northern Ireland. And we're just in a southwesterly flow, which will take us into more the mid-Atlantic. So we've got high pressure over Biscay again, so it's repeat performance again of what we've had recently. Let's have a look at the GFS charts. So we've got the midday run from today. We'll just see the pressure charts at the moment. So the low pressure, which is coming out at night into tomorrow, is nothing feature really towards North Atlantic really. As we move forward, you can see it quickly developing across Scotland, with these isobars really popping up there. I'll be able to see how very tight isobars as it heads towards Denmark, and it clears during the day on Friday. High pressure towards our south. Winds coming in from west southwesterly. And remain that southwesterly to westerly during the weekend, with high pressure to the south. Another layer of low pressure coming across Iceland. So northern areas, more northern areas will be affected by that. What do we expect to see during next week? This run is currently showing high pressure just sitting towards our west, allowing these northwesterly winds coming in. Well, north to northwesterly winds on this run, really, to bring some fresher air in. And on this run, it brings in a slight modified northerly, but it's not a pure northerly, as it will be coming towards from Iceland. So the air will be a bit cooler than what we've had recently. And does this high pressure head comes closer, or does it head away? It's showing that high pressure does start to come across the UK and sit right on top of us once more, going into next week. This is showing a very slack easterly there. I wouldn't say it's a beastly easterly or anything like that. Might bring, with this low pressure just towards the Med, might bring one or two showers across the English Channel there, but mostly it'll be dry. We'll have a look at the wind flow temperature charts in just a moment. And we've got a slight easterly there, but it's modified as it's coming towards from the Med, really, coming around this area of low pressure. That's over the Mediterranean. Is this showing any signs of an easterly? Not at all at this stage. It's a bit of a mess, really, between high pressure and low pressure. Got high pressure trying to move in from the Atlantic once more. Does it make progress? This shows it does. And once again, we're in that repeat cycle. High pressure sat over the UK. And it'll be down to cloud amounts if we get any frost or fog. And it's quite a lot of high pressure around, really, on this run. Let's see the air type. That's above, aloft. So at the moment, with these yellows, we're under milder conditions. We should be that for much of the, we'll be like that over the weekend. So on these milder temperatures, colder further north you are before mild air pushes again even across Scotland through Sunday. Then on Tuesday, as that high pressure sits out towards the west of the UK, we'll see cooler air move across the whole of the UK. So any showers could be wintering mostly, not exclusively, to high ground. We'll have a look at the snow level in just a second if any precipitation does fall. And around the top of that, as I mentioned, we're going to see a bit of a more of a Atlantic influence as that high pressure moves down across the UK. The winds do try to switch into an easterly, but as you can see, there's not really much any cold air at all across Europe. All the cold air is stuck towards, I'll say, Russia, far north of Scandi at this stage. So any easterly won't be bringing any cold air as such. As we head towards the end of this run, cooler air does move across, but only very slightly towards the start of March. Then high pressure then comes across the UK once more with milder air. Let's have a quick look at the 6 o'clock run to see if it's in a very similar scenario, or we're going to have a complete different setup right at the end. We'll have a quick look at that. So there's that milder air across the UK for the start of next week. And we see that cooler air move down with that air of high pressure. Oops, don't know what's happened there. This showing a bit of a cold plunge as that high pressure starts to sink towards the southwest a little. Let's show more of a cold air for a time this time next week before it modifies into that warmish Mediterranean air coming around this area of low pressure towards the south into the Med. So we pick a bit of a southeasterly there. High pressure builds across the UK once more. Not showing any cold. Might be a slight inversion there depending on cloud amounts under the eye of high pressure. So at this stage we see no beastly easterlies or anything like that at all.
No.
Let's go back into the midday run. Let's have a look at the precipitation type and see a look at the rainfall and see if when we do that get that bit of a short northerly blast, if any precipitation does fall, snow across parts of the UK. So we've got that spell of wind and rain coming through overnight associated with Storm Otto. More rain, perhaps snow for higher ground there for Scotland during Saturday. And it's basically dry for England and Wales. And that is showing some snow showers, also mostly for high ground during next week, not exclusively for high ground. So something you perhaps need to keep an eye on during next week. Then it turns dry with that high pressure moving in from the west. Then later on the run, we'll see more rain, patch around side coming in from the west before high pressure builds in once more. One more thing I will have a look at. Sounds like my daughter's woken up, so I might have to go in a second.
No, it's okay. Near wrap it up, we can wrap it up.
That's not what I'm looking for. Just that or of the snow line. Let's have a look how low the snow line is for next week with that northerly coming in. So it's above 600 metres across Scotland for Friday. So we've got a bit of snow expected across the higher ground. Then that northerly coming down later in the week. See the snow line coming down. So below 600 metres across the UK into Wednesday. Perhaps seeing some snow showers of perhaps affecting northwestern areas of Scotland. It's like above 400 metres if any precipitation does fall across much of England, Wales. Again, for north you are, the snow line's a lot lower, perhaps down to 100 metres over Scotland. And that snow line starts to increase. I won't go any further next Saturday, so maybe some wintry showers for some during next week, but we'll keep a close eye on that for Sunday. We'll have more time to have a proper look.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want me to look up before maybe have to head off?
Not in particular. No, I mean, regarding the strumming, you've got that. I've got the graph charts as well. So
Yeah, just later on the strat, this at 30 HPA. Quickly run through. So we've got warming taking place at the moment across the pole. And that pushes the PV into Europe, really. It's getting pushed away into Western Russia as well. Got warming across the pole. And we're getting like another warming affecting this time next week, which will then go back into the pole again. And it seems like it really puts pressure on the PV, which is still set towards the Russian side. We believe the wind direction starts to be in reverse on up in the upper levels, but we're not seeing something like any beastly easers at this stage.
no.
Do you quickly want to put your charts up on the?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. Here we go.
Quickly, I'll put you on quickly. Then I'll have to go straight after that.
Yeah, that's fine. Right, so as you can see there, the winds are starting to reverse, but they soon recover. And then they're going to reverse again with that secondary warming that Michael was just showing you. But then they recover again. So it doesn't look like the winds are going to stay in reverse for long enough that seem to recover. So that's why I don't think it's picking up so much on an easterly. I don't think there's going to be a proper easterly going to kick in because the polar vortex is not staying in reverse for long enough to instigate easterly, in my opinion. Could be wrong, but looking at this chart here, I would say, as you can see there, currently the neutral, going to east, then recover back, then going to reverse again, and then the recover. So I don't think they're going to sustain long enough to be an easterly. I think the weather's just going to stay as it is. Maybe a brief incursion of cold weather as the winds reverse.
Only with 70% of some stratospheric warmings does actually to cold air across the UK, so it's not always a guarantee.
Exactly.
Increased stability.
I don't think this is going to be one of them cold ones. I could be wrong, but as you can see there, the most of the ECM members are in a majority agreement of going back into positive, so back into a westerly pattern.
Right.
And locking the polar vortex in.
Right.
So yeah,
unfortunately, I'm gonna have to end it there now.
Yeah, that's fine, mate. I understand.
Okay, I apologise for that.
Go on,
We're back on Sunday.
Yeah.
And thanks for joining us tonight. And
Yeah.
we'll see you all on Sunday. Thanks for watching, everybody. Apologies for the sudden going.
No, it's okay. We understand, mate. That's no worries. See you on Sunday, guys.
See you on Sunday. Bye-bye.